and we're in the middle of our series on Zoom fatigue. So before we jump in, what is Zoom fatigue? It's that feeling of tiredness, worry, burnout, stress that comes along with overusing virtual platforms for communications, for meetings and events. And what we're doing is we're reviewing some of the causes of Zoom fatigue that have been put out there in recent articles. And today we've already done things like excessive close-up gaze, and we've done cognitive load and cognitive overload. And today what I'd like to do is take a look at the third one of these causes, which is what they call the all-day mirror effect, or what happens from staring at yourself all day long for too long. So the cognitive mirror, or excuse me, the all-day mirror effect. So when you sit down and you go into Zoom or GoToMeeting or any of the other virtual platforms, what happens is your picture is on the screen all during that meeting, unless you do something to turn it off. And when they talk about the all-day mirror effect, what they're talking about is having that image up there for you to evaluate over and over and over and over. And we do that without even thinking about it. We look and we see ourselves up there, and there's some really good things about it. We make sure that we're centered in the camera. We make sure that we don't have stains on our clothing. We check our background. And that's good to start off with. But for many people, having that image in front of them creates this self-evaluation, self-critique that gets overwhelming. And they get distracted by looking at themselves continuously throughout meetings all day long. So when they talk about the all-day mirror effect, that's what they're talking about. And it's not so bad for many people, but for others, they can't help but looking at themselves when it's up there. So let's take a look at what you can do as a participant. As a participant, what can you do about all this? So first of all, you can turn off your self view. In Zoom, you can actually make it so that your camera is still showing, but you don't see it. And that's one of the selections in the view options. And I believe it's one of the selections, if you click the little three dots at the bottom of your picture, it'll show all the things like that you can do, like rename yourself. You can also turn off your view on the screen. What else you can do? You can, if you don't like looking at yourself, you can have the speaker view on. And one of the things I like about Zoom and other platforms is they give the participant a lot of options for their experience. So you can turn on speaker view and make everybody else really small, including yourself. You can make sure that the view that you have up there does not include your video. The other thing that you can do is at times, because what you're looking for is you want information on how you're coming across. So you can ask people either verbally or you can individually chat. Friends, I usually have what I call meeting buddies that can give me feedback. And I can ask myself, is there anything distracting in my background? Do I have anything on my face? Is that spinach still in my teeth? So you can ask others for that feedback so you don't have to rely on that mirror effect or your image there. What about if you are the presenter? One of the things you can do as a presenter is let people know that if they're getting distracted by their own picture up there, that they can turn that off. Show them how to use the options in the platform that you're using. The other thing is that you can create more engagement and interaction to encourage people to look away from themselves. You can have them focus on an individual person. You could share the screen and have them focus on the content. You can actually have them do things in other apps or even in the space in front of them. Anything that you can do to engage them doesn't only help with the all-day mirror effect, but it helps with overall engagement, connection, and it makes whatever's happening, whether it's a meeting, a presentation, or an event, it makes it more memorable and more sticky, as we say. You can also create opportunities for participants to communicate and offer feedback to each other about how they're being viewed, how they're coming across visually, but also in all other ways as well. Feedback, they say, is the breakfast of champions. Now, all-day mirror effect is it has a huge impact for some people, but many of us aren't distracted by that picture. I actually, it's funny because I find myself presenting to myself quite a bit. But as soon as I forget or turn off my own picture or move it someplace else, I start to interact with people through the lens. and that helps me fight that Zoom fatigue. So there's many things that you can do as a participant and as a presenter to help people combat Zoom fatigue, such as the all-day mirror effect.